Tensions between Pretoria and Washington have reached
They are not there to
low.
participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely
South
claiming.
African government's decision-making is compromised by
the stance
widespread
taken by
corruption.
the United States administration has been influenced by disinformation.
It's no secret that a major diplomatic crisis has developed between the United States government and the South African government. This is clear from the fact that the US boycotted the G20 summit in Johannesburg and decided not to invite South Africa to next year's summit in Miami, among many other things. There are various reasons for this animosity towards the South African government, and contrary to the ANC's claims, it is not because Donald Trump was misinformed by AfriForum. To fully understand why the US is taking steps against South Africa, one should do more than watch 30-second clips of Trump quotes and rather look at what the US government is studying, publishing, and even legislating with regards to South Africa. AfriForum has studied various bills and other documents compiled by senior government officials in America, which are publicly available, and has found 10 main reasons why the US is upset with the South African government. Presented here in no specific order. Reason number 1, the Expropriation Act. Executive Order 14204, addressing the egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa, signed on February 7, 2025, specifically mentions the South African Expropriation Act 13 of 2024, detailing the fact that it enables the South African government to expropriate property without compensation.
The question of land. The land of our forefathers and our foremothers must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now.
The ANC is pro-expropriation of land without compensation. We have never deviated from that.
The US has historically insisted that it will only maintain normal diplomatic relations with countries that respect private property rights. The South African government has broken that rule by passing the Expropriation Act. Reason number 2, the Kill the Boer chant. President Donald Trump famously played a video clip of Julius Malema chanting "Kill the Boer" to a crowd of thousands of EFF supporters, and then asked why Malema has not been jailed. The fact that Malema and others are allowed to continue singing this song publicly has become an international symbol of the South African government's unwillingness to decisively deal with violence against Afrikaners. The US government is taking note and acting accordingly. President Cyril Ramaphosa has repeatedly refused to condemn the "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer" chant, and has even denied farm murders are happening at all.
But on the tweet itself, he was clearly misinformed. And whoever gave him that information was completely wrong. There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
Reason number 3, farm murders. President Trump's executive order from February 7 mentions disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners, which is a clear reference to farm attacks and farm murders. It is also mentioned in an article explaining America's decision to not invite South Africa to 2026's G20 summit, written by Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State. This article also highlights the fact that the SA government is not doing enough to prevent violence against Afrikaner farmers. Along with these references in official documents, the issue of farm murders has been raised in American media and social media circles on various occasions. This has garnered support for South African farmers among large sections of the American populace. Reason number 4, race laws. The same executive order refers to South Africa's government-sponsored race-based discrimination. SA's racial legislation was also highlighted in Rubio's article, where he refers to racial quotas that have crippled the private sector in South Africa and South Africa's burdensome regulatory regime driven by racial grievance. Racial legislation such as BEE also hinders the ease of doing business in South Africa for US companies, of which Starlink is a prime example. Reason number 5, human trafficking and other organized crime. The United States is increasingly regarding South Africa as a hub for international crimes such as trafficking, poaching, and flowing of funds to terrorist organizations. The following are quotes from the US Department of State's 2025 Trafficking in Persons Report, South Africa. The government of South Africa does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking. Therefore, South Africa was downgraded to a Tier 2 watch list. Official complicity in trafficking crimes, especially by police and immigration officials, facilitated trafficker operations. The US has strained diplomatic relations with any country that is seen as a hub for organized crime, and it is to be expected that the increase in organized crime in South Africa will hinder the possibility of normalizing relations with the US. Reason number 6. Cultural persecution of Afrikaners. Along with the refugee program offered to Afrikaners and other minorities facing persecution in South Africa, the US government has also shown its awareness of the ANC's targeting of Afrikaners' linguistic and cultural rights through various statements and clarifications by its local embassy. One example is the US Department of State's 2024 Country Report on Human Rights, South Africa, which states the South African government did not take credible steps to investigate, prosecute and punish officials who committed human rights abuses, including inflammatory racial rhetoric against Afrikaners and other racial minorities, or violence against racial minorities. Reason number 7. Antagonistic rhetoric and false accusations towards the US by South African diplomats. The US has taken issue with the fact that ex-ambassador Ibrahim Rasool called President Donald Trump a white supremacist.
Does it make him a white supremacist?
I think it does.
This is mentioned in the US-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Bill, which was tabled in the Senate in September 2025. But South Africa's current Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, still repeated the claim in November when interviewed by CNN.
That is fear-mongering to pursue the agenda of white supremacy.
You think Trump is pursuing a white supremacist agenda?
Yes, I think so.
Reason number 8. South Africa's International Court of Justice case against Israel. The Bilateral Relations Review Bill calls South Africa's lawsuit against Israel in the ICJ politically motivated and excusing towards Hamas. Reason number 9. The SA government's close ties with the governments of Iran, Russia and China. The US-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Bill states the following. In contrast to its stated stance of non-alignment, the government of South Africa has a history of siding with malign actors, including Hamas, a United States designated foreign terrorist organization and a proxy of the Iranian regime, and continues to pursue closer ties with the People's Republic of China and the Russian Federation. It then goes on to list more than 20 instances where South African government officials have exhibited such alignment. These include allowing a US-sanctioned Russian cargo ship, the Lady R, to dock and transfer arms at a South African naval base in December 2022. Former Minister Naledi Pandor accepting a call with Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, and the ANC's push to rename the street where the United States consulate in Johannesburg is located to Leila Khalid Drive, naming it after a US-designated terrorist. Reason number 10. Corruption and mismanagement. Quoting from the same bill previously referenced, the ANC-led government of South Africa has a history of substantially mismanaging a range of state resources and has often proven itself incapable of effectively delivering public services, threatening the South African people and the South African economy. It then lists the obvious examples of Eskom, Transnet and state capture. Together, these 10 matters provide ample reason why the US remains unwilling to have normalized relations with the South African government, and it is not even an exhaustive list. Note that the reasons are more substantive than personality clashes between politicians or quick conclusions about the state of affairs in South Africa after watching a few videos on social media. As long as the ANC-led government doesn't take responsibility for its failings and continues to scapegoat organizations like AfriForum and Solidarity and remains unwilling to compromise on any of its extreme positions, the diplomatic crisis with the United States government will only deepen. AfriForum will continue to ensure that the world knows the truth about South Africa and the Afrikaner community. Find more information at theworldmustknow.co.za. Unfortunately, the ANC Secretary General still has no idea why this is really happening.
So there's not been clarity about this question, about why are we punished